I'm deaf, so if you want to ask me a question, speak up. I just ignore it. I've got a lot of different stuff, and a lot of it's about decoration. This stuff over here is what I call hydro erosion. And I was going to do class or session here a year ago, 2 years ago, whenever, and it was very COVID, and we got over here and the place was shut down. So all the stuff that I had prepared has been fired and gone away. Huh?
It's hard to hear back here.
You can't hear back there. I'll try to talk loud. So anyway, I'm going to do a little bit of a short session on that towards the end, on the hydro erosion. We'll cover it. But I want to talk about decoration at the different stages and making pots. You can do it any time from the time, if you're hand building, of course, you're working with clay that's really soft, and you can go all the way from soft clay right on the wheel is made, all the way to dry, which is what these are. And these are the ones I'm going to decorate with the hydro erosion. So, you know, you can do it at the just thrown stage, you can do it at the leather hard stage, you can do it soft leather hard, stiff leather hard, but you got different things that you can do, and not everything is, excuse me, not everything goes across the whole spec. So, I made a few pots, and I got this softening up with wet cloth on it. So this is a mug I make. It's got a bottom sort of like this, which is a beat. I call it a beaten bottom. I picked it up from Stephen Hill, I believe. And so I'm going to make one of these on the wheel and then show you what I do with it, where I go from the wheel. But it's got already got some alteration, and you can see that it's indented around here. And so we'll get to that in a little bit. I've got pots that I threw this morning, and this it's been sitting out uncovered, so it's really sort of soft leather hard. I'll show you a couple of things you can do with it. So this would be a little bit beyond just thrown. This is just some slip.
Is it the same kind of clay?
Nope. Doesn't really matter. When you're putting a slip on something that's freshly thrown, they're both going to be sticking to each other pretty well. When you get into putting slip on a clay that's gotten bone dry or stiff leather hard, you can get shrinkage differences, and you're going to have problems with it. But I've just put this around here, and this is where you start having fun. You can create lines with your fingers, or something like this. and then go. Use your fingertips to run up through and create a pattern in it. Like so. Now you take that and where my tools are. If it's still soft enough, you can then take and stretch that out. Change the shape of the pot, and also gets the, if you do enough stretching, it'll get those lines wrapping up around the pot diagonally.
What tool are you using?
This is a spatula. This is something I bought up in the mountains at a, a shop up on Blue Ridge Parkway.
Is what?
And it's a butter spatula or something like that. Actually, this is not one I bought, it's one I made. But I use it for shaping pots from the inside. And if you got texture on the outside, either something like slip or added on sprigs or anything like that, and you don't want to alter those, you can stretch from the inside and get a nice form that way, and not damage what's on the outside. Let's see. Take that off. So we're double using this pipe. Trying to find all the materials for you. When the clay's a little bit on the soft side, you can also impress patterns in with stamps. And I've got a few here with me. This is a misfired clay stamp that I make. You want to take all the slip off the body of the pot so that it doesn't stick. And then rub around on the inside. You've got a texture. If you see something that you like in nature, say,
like a smashed pine cone.
Right. It's gonna start laughing at you.
they see a starfish.
Thought about it.
You want to put a starfish on the pot. Well, if you try to take and press that starfish into the pot, it's going to make a negative impression, even if it would stand up. So if you make a stand from the starfish, you will plaster or clay, discard that, and then you can, again, all I'm doing is pressing on the inside with just a bare little bit of water. I got to start it. You can also use this for put clay into that, press it into it, squeeze it off with a probably a rib like this, and then take it and apply that as a sprig onto a pot. That would be normally done at a later stage at about leather hard. You can also shape a pot at this point. Obviously, I'm not going to keep all these things. So, this is a little bit altered just by putting stamps on it. But before doing that, some of these pots over here, you see, they got lines up on them. And I usually do that with a stick like this, and you get a surface like that. So it's real easy to just square something up. Go back around up the rim, you got basically a square pot. It's really interesting when you have a cup or something that's squared off like that, and you pour a liquid into it, and it takes sort of a square shape on the inside. It's just different from drinking that round coffee cup. This pot is another one that I did. I think they call these Owen pots. You can do the thing up vertically or angled like I've done here. So I'm going to make one of those.
Is that clay from a pug mill?
Excuse me?
Is that clay from a pug mill?
Yes.
That's what it looks like now.
I was cleaning up outside the studio over the weekend for somebody to come pick up my concrete mixer. And I came across 2 buckets of clay, reclaimed. So I reclaimed those. That's not this. This is clay that was bone and dry that I got from, I don't know, probably 3 years ago. And I've rehydrated it and run it back to the plug mill. I usually throw the mirror out at about a 6-degree angle in front of me, and it's like I can look at it and see the shape I've got here. I don't have to lean back like that. you have any questions about what I'm doing, I'm just, I assume y'all all in that for. So when you do the milling, it helps to have you don't want something real sharp, but you want something with a nice straight edge. Most of these ribs are sort of rounded a little bit. This works well. This one works well, but I wouldn't use this. And you can do it either hold it this way. If you're doing an angular, put a couple fingers inside on this side of where you're putting the rib. Press in with the rib and push out with your fingers, and sort of rub on the inside to make the sort of the melon. So you've got this rounded point here and there, and you do it again over here. Or you can do this and use two fingers on the inside like this and push it out. Very simple. Then you have to go back, of course, and
Hey, Ed.
there are other things that you can, other ways that you can do it. You can do it backwards, I guess. I've never done one horizontal, so. I guess it's doable, it's not very attractive.
We have a question?
Yes.
Any idea how many pots you've made in your career?
I wouldn't hazard a guess.
Okay.
I'd probably have to put it in pounds of clay. And I would guess that's probably in, maybe not megatons, but definitely tons.
What got you started in the first place?
Do what?
What got you started in the first place? Pottery.
I moved to Richmond, Virginia from Baltimore, and I don't know, 2 or 3 people at work, and my cousin I was staying with, and maybe 4 or 5 of her friends. And one of them said, "You want to meet people, go to the Virginia Museum, take a pottery class." So that's where it started. Other things you can do at this stage, obviously not necessarily great on this pot. This is you can't see it probably in the back, but it's basically a ballpoint pen spring stretched across a ship. And you wouldn't do this on the pot when it was a cylinder. Here, let me do that. I'm not wedging the clay. This has just been run through a pug mill, so it's very homogeneous. The only thing you have to worry about when you're using pug clay is that you don't put the flat side down because it's got a spiral in it. And you don't necessarily know which way the spiral is. One way it's fine, the other way it'll crack like crazy.
What is pug? What is pug mill?
Oh, pug mill's a machine that's got an auger in it, and it mixes the clay and then extrudes it out through a barrel.
Okay.
And so it comes out in a round cylinder, mine's 3 inches in diameter. Saves a whole lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, almost everything. Oh, Wellington,
Which I thought.
that's right.
This is still blue. So the rest, I have a trigger finger. Well, it's just a swelling of where it goes through the little outlet. Yeah, mine.
Kind of got a fairly, not thick, but maybe 3/8 of an inch thick wall. But you need to leave it a little bit thick so that you don't cut through it. You can see that the lines are sort of angling around. That's because what you're doing is you're retarding the clay at the top, and the bottom is going a little bit further than the top does, so it pulls everything around. On big pots, you can really get an angle around. You may notice that there's a hole there. Really easy to fix something like that just by putting a little thing of clay on the back side of it. And when it's stiff enough, you can rub it down. And then nobody will ever know.
I think they broke.
What happened?
I don't know what happened, but I lost 2 things on the wheel.
Looks like you're gonna have to make a new fast one.
I didn't make that one very well tonight.
I just set it on
Texture like.
What is that you're using? What's the tool?
Texture roller.
It's ballpoint. It's not a big pen. It's Office makes a stick pen with a gear on the end of it. Something else I make. I like making tools. But But what all this stuff is doing is creating surfaces for glaze to lay on. Glaze does not like sharp edges, so it runs away from them. It's got to go somewhere, so it goes into the low areas, and it pulls and it thickens, so it looks different where it's thin and it's thick. And that's what makes pots, to me, interesting. By changing the surface, you can take what's the ordinary clear glaze and make it look like something totally different. And all those hydro-eroded pots over there is a totally different thing than this type of texture. That texture over there is flat, sharp, this way. So it breaks away from the edges here and pulls up in the center of the high spots and creates a dark area. It gets light at the edge, and then it pulls at the bottom where it goes back to the pot and creates a dark area. So you got dark, light, light, and then dark in the middle. It's a glaze that I've never seen on any other kind of texture, and I love it. Anyway, so these are just some things you can do at this stage. This gear, I use it a lot for on rims and like on a bowl. You do need to go back once it's in the leather hard or soft leather hard stage and smooth it down, because it'll leave sharp edges, and nobody likes sharp edges. Customers aren't going to buy something that's got sharp all over it. They'll put it down in a heartbeat. So there's some ideas on freshly thrown pots, really softly.
What's your favorite clay to use?
Well, I've got a clay of my own that I use for sagger and horsehair pots, which is really, really smooth and no grog at all. It's not porcelain, but it flows like porcelain. And so between that and porcelain are two favorites as far as throwing feel. But then I've got clays that, dark clays that I like for different things. I've got standard 306 is a great clay for wood firing. It comes out of the kiln looking like quartered shoes, a nice, quartered brown, the purples. And let's see. The B-mix for wood fire, it's got a lot of helm iron, and it's nice in wood as well. So I mean, I'm all over the spectrum when it comes to clays. This pot is a little bit on the stiffer side, but it's still not leather hard. This one is leather hard, and I would say this is probably a candidate for type of texture that either this is the roller from a pencil sharpener. If you try to do this on a freshly thrown pot, this would just be all gone down.
Yeah.
Wouldn't work at all. The nice thing about this tool is it finds its own place. You can stop and go back. And I'm applying a fair amount of pressure here.
Yeah.
And that will give you some really nice texture on pots. Another thing texture does, it slows glaze down. If you got glaze that's really running, and you put some texture areas in, it may be on the spoon pot, it'll run off the pot and stick it to the shelf. On something that's got texture on it, it's going to have to find its way down there, and possibly you'll have a nice effect, and it won't be so to the shelf. Other things you can do, of course you can, not everything I use is stuff I made. These are MKM textures, and these are rollers, stamps, and you can buy this stuff. And if you say, oh, everybody have one of those. Not everybody's going to buy the same one you got, and they're not going to use it the same way you use it. And if you've got a pattern that you really like, you can make a stamp out of it. Just buy that and press that in, and nobody will have it if you. But those would work well on this. I like this roller. Mine had top of the maps. This is pebbles. And then I make little things like this, and these are good at almost any stage it would work. This is really stiff clay. I have to press a little bit harder to get a nice mark, but you get a nice crisp mark with something like that. And this, everybody know what that is? Yes, it's a broken one. And one thing that you can get with this is, if you take it and if you just do like that, you get. You get lines. You probably can't see this, but if you do stop it short, you'll get a checker pattern.
Can you pass that around, Ed?
Yeah. And you can take the edge that's broken and you can get a series of lines. That's all right. Okay. I don't know that I need to make one of this stuff. I've shown you how to do this. One thing that I do on this is I undercut the edge of the pot to make this raised lip so that when it's sitting down on a flat surface, it's not sitting dead flat. And then this is a BB stick, and it's just a stick. If it gets too dry, they just crack. So. This one's a little bit on the stiff side, but opened up with this sort of skirt look.
Dancing.
I mean, Stephen Hill said he did it to make it look like the knees, cypress knees. Anyway, so that's how that works. Now I've got all these stamps. I'll just pass some of these around. And, oh, I know what I wanted to show you. I do need to make one more copy. When you're doing stamps like these, if you, there are two ways to do it. One is the pot needs to be dry and the stamp needs to be dry, and they won't stick. If either one of them got moisture on it, then they're going to stick to each other. Or they can both be wet. And it won't stick. I was watching videos of, there's a British pottery where they're making these huge garden planters. And the guy made this big thing. He's got this big bucket of water next to him. He pulls this big mold, like a third of the shape of the pot, out of the water, and he puts it upside and he rubs it from the inside with his hand, and it comes right up because it's wet. So you can do either way. So if you've got a lot of things that you want to do and you want to do it with the dry, you probably need to have a few extra stamps or a way to keep the stamps dry.
Was that a quick bisque? Was that a quick bisque?
No.
My stomach.
See that coming right off. Now, I hope this won't be wet now. And that one came off. Pot been a little bit wetter, been better. It's fairly thin, but so you can work either way, but you can't go to have one wet and the other one dry, especially this one dry. Okay. talk a little bit about what we got here. I'm gonna pass these two pots around, these are best try. And the difference, and then normally when I've done them in the past, I work in like a set of 5. And I'll put a decoration on. In this case, I'll put these marks here and here on first. And then on all, decorate all 5 of them with shellac. That's what this brown material is. And then once they were dry, and then I took and sponged them and wiped away the background. And then once I got the whole set of 5 done, the first one that I did, I could decorate it. So then I put 4 marks on it. And those marks are going in the background. The first marks you make are going to be the surface of the top now. And as you go further back, the marks that you make are going to be shallow. And so I would do a lot of things. Let's see. That one's got at least 5 different patterns on it. And so this one was done that way.
Can you hold that green one up one more time? That you
Sure.
did?
Which one did I have?
Thank you.
And on this one, this was done with several passes. I don't know exactly how many. This one was done with 1 decoration and probably maybe 3 washings, 4 washings. You can't just keep washing. It'll get tired. It'll poke through it. So this was a much faster process. But it's not as intense and it doesn't have as much background.
Ed, do you wash them when they're bone dry, or do you wash them when they're leather hard? Do you wash them when they're bone dry, or do you wash them when they're leather hard?
Bone dry.
Bone dry.
Explain the shellacking. Explain that shellacking technique.
That's what I'm going to do.
Okay. So you wash the raw part, hold the pieces.
Yes.
Get the thing up. You get it? No, I don't.
Yeah.
We're talking about this right here, like he said, he puts shellac on it. So it keeps it all the same level.
Right.
And you'll spell it. So it holds, so it makes it stand up.
So the brown part.
This one I'm going to demonstrate
So is it plain
the washing process. I'm going to demonstrate the decorating on this. If you notice, got shellac on the bottom, around the base, around the rim, and well inside of it. I didn't go too far down on the inside of this one. I had one more pot, and I was decorating it, so I'd have a couple of pots to wash, and it was kind of thin. It just broke in my hand, so I just had to run. The shellac is made by a company called Minzlinger or something like that. You can get it at Lowe's or Home Depot. It comes in a quart can. They don't make it in a smaller size. It doesn't have a good shelf life. Once you open it, it's like a lot of things. I mean, it'll keep for maybe a year. So I pour it out into a container, small amount, and then spray some, something called oxygen, which pushes the air out of it. And you can get that at woodworking shops or people that sell resins for casting acrylics and stuff. They sell something similar. But what it does, it keeps the oxygen from attacking the shellac.
Edge.
Yes.
Can we use the shellac that you buy at Lowe's?
Yes. That's what this is.
Okay, so.
Yeah, I'm just saying, they don't sell in small size things and things. They sell in little 4-ounce cans. That would be ideal. So if you're buying a quart of something that you probably won't use over a year's time. Or you can go in and share with somebody and break it up into different parts. So you just have to be careful with that. I've made some marks on this with pencil where I want to put lines. Oh, and the solvent for shellac is alcohol, denatured alcohol, and it's very, very fluid. And like wax, you know, you need to be careful about how much you got on your brush so that it doesn't run when you don't want it. But unlike wax, once it's dry, you can scrape it off and reapply. Wax penetrates into your not clay but into your bisque.
So you're using this as a resist?
Do what?
You're using it as a resist?
Yes.
Is this green ware or?
This is green, bone dry.
That's what you keep.
When I say it's fluid, it will follow these lines that I put on here. If I put enough on there or tilt it, you can see. You can see here it's run this way when I was holding it over a little bit, and it's following that line. And on those pieces that I passed around that are bisque fired, you see these sort of strips going off from the dots, and that's where the shellac flowed along the lines that I put into the pot. Now, good.
Is that a special kind of brush?
What?
Is that a special kind of brush?
This brush I made. They make the gear too. I mean, it's been a long time since I made it. With a brush like this, you can lay down. I'm following you.
If I don't want that line, how can I correct it?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Yeah, can you help me, please?
Yeah, right, yeah.
If I don't like that line, how can I correct it?
If she doesn't like the line, how can she correct it?
Oh, I'll show you. You have to wait for it to dry, obviously.
You scrape it. You scrape it off?
No, we had some solution.
Yeah.
See?
Take this, little trim it to scrape it off.
You're right. I saw use the alcohol. I saw use something else like
Or you could use the head or rib.
Would you use alcohol?
No. All the alcohol is going to do is spread it around.
Oh, gotcha. Already.
The reason I put the lines around the pot is so that I get the benefit of it from the decoration. Because they're not going to get eroded where the shellac is running. They're going to get eroded in between those areas, and so you get this tapering line down. It's real hard to create with a carving, something like that.
What glaze is on these mugs? What glaze is this? Is green?
Glaze, just green glaze is a rebate.
They all porcelain.
Yeah, it's porcelain, it's clear glaze on the inside. It seems like mostly what I've got ripped is a rebate. This is a dark blue green. My favorite piece. A lot of work in that. What you really need is a transparent glaze. So that, and brown clay is not going to show through. The light in here is porcelain, obviously. If you got brown clay, then it's probably not going to show through very well. You get the cooling effect of the. If you look at, see this line down here?
Yeah.
Right in the center of that, the glaze pulled in from both sides, and you've got thick there, so you've got that. And then on either side of it, you've got a little pooling at the base of it. You feel the texture on those disc pieces, and it's quite sharp.
Yeah.
Edge, what cone are we firing to?
These are cone 10. This play is cone 6. And I've done some at cone 6 and it's successful. I just, I haven't worked at cone 6 very much. Of course, different brushes are going to give you different strokes. I've got one brush, I've got a whole line. If I make the mark down one way, it looks like a little owl sitting on the Y. If I do it up the other way, it goes around the Y. Those are my Halloween lights. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to show you an easy way to make dots. dip your brush in alcohol to soften it up or clean it. You know, you got to put shellac on it. It will make the shellac really fluid and run like crazy. So I dry it out over here, and then sometimes it's beneficial just to put the shellac onto, spread it out on a surface. The big Q-tips are like Harbor Freight.
Where did you get that?
Harbor Freight.
Harbor Freight?
Really bad over there.
What is that?
They're big Q-tips from Harbor Freight. To make perfect little dots.
She's in Europe. She's in Europe. Sure.
That's a good idea.
That is a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go in some of my favorite cities, 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. Make it awesome.
I love to walk the city. Oh, you know what's really cool? I hope they still do it. Sunday morning, they used to have a flea market every just for good.
But again, who would think about using for shellac, you know, but who would have thought of using shellac? Oh yeah, I mean, it's an interesting process, it's just, I don't think it's not.
We're really putting a bunch of dots on here. Tapping this. Other things you can do, like you can use,
Yeah.
And leave them raised up. And then the rest of the
got all kinds of things to make it mark. This is a rubber stamp. I got it.
Blanking on the list of
Just one cut. A hot paper clip. Held it in the torch. Burned away. Same thing with little black ones.
Anything that pushes
Yeah, I love to
into
walk.
anything can be a stain.
Cut some bamboo.
so much to see the mark, the little mark, get down like an alley and mark it. They could have used McDonald's every corner.
Lots of ways to create art.
Brand new, I don't know, something called good enough.
I like these up. Okay.
There you go.
Maybe about 5 more minutes. Would that be okay?
What?
5 more minutes. Would that be okay?
5 more minutes?
Okay, I'm getting ready to watch this clock.
Did you invent the shellac?
What?
Did you invent the shellac?
No, I didn't do anything. I read about it. Some people talk about using wax. Wax to wash it away. Not real fast, but real All right. most of my pots have most of my pots have a foot of some kind on the bottom, and I do that, so that's not the whole thing. Without that, it's open at all. I started doing it because at home I glazed with a vacuum thing. When I was teaching over here, they don't have a vacuum thing, so I needed something to hold on to. And I found that worked very well for this. I use a sponge like this. Nothing special about it. You see why I wax the bottom. And you want to use a wide pail. If you got a narrow pail, then it's very likely you're going to hit the rim of this with the rim of that, and it's going to break the pot. And I'm rubbing, but I'm not rubbing real hard, I'm not scrubbing.
Ed, does shellacking the rim help it from not cracking?
What?
Does shellacking the rim help it from not cracking? It's usually just where it's pretty crackling.
Do they keep the rim from cracking?
No. Does it help keeping the rim from cracking? Is that way you do that?
I put it on because it's going to erode it if it drips over it. And most of what I make is cup. And when I make a nice surface.
Did you never have problems with the bisque cracking with all that water?
I don't have any problems with cracking unless I hit it on, if I hit it on that, it won't keep it from cracking in.
You said that's bone dry, right?
Yeah.
Okay, not this.
That's not this.
Oh, no, we wouldn't do anything if we got I guess you could, if you use shellac as a glaze on this, it would work, but it wouldn't be any better than wax.
And you wouldn't use a clay that has a lot of grit in it with this.
This has a little bit of rock in it, unfortunately, for something on it. And I can feel it coming out. This is going to wash maybe a little faster than that does. The only pots that I had any problem with were, I did put this in a workshop I did here. And I tried doing it on a little plate. And I thought it was going to be a success. And I set it aside and I came back and walked it the second time. It cracked. It's right around at the back. But this works with just about any clay. This is like color patches.
Because it's going to make the race where my decorations are, it's going to make it.
You can always come back here and keep your marker, wash them away, you see it increasing. You can add to it again, or you can put it over on mark, you have like a step.
You know the one that has the ramp, the levels on it? Another player of it.
It's about as much as I would normally do on a pot at one time. I would set it aside now and let it dry. But you can see it's already a fair amount. That's not really enough to do you know, to really affect the whole lot. it's gonna be as good as you really think.
So do you let it get bone dry again before you apply it on the layer?
Do what?
How long do you let it dry before you apply it on the layer?
Well, if I'm doing 5 pots at a time, and I'll take 5 minutes, maybe a half hour, something like that. That's why I work this at 5. That way I'm not idle. I stay busy. I'll go ahead and wash this, I've been dry enough. And you can see the lines on the, where the shellac ran. Like in here. Any questions?
What about dry? If you're not using porcelain?
Well, this about all now, right?
Like here, there's some of the clays are really pretty that I use for star.
Star white.
Yeah. Or the dark star.